The easiest way to lose games in Rocket League is to play reactionary. And if you want to be successful, you need to learn how to play as proactive as possible. So in today's video, we'll be showcasing the difference between reactive and proactive Rocket League and discussing how you can do a better job of being proactive in your own games. So when we say reactive and proactive gameplay, what exactly do we mean? Well, reactive gameplay is simply where you're sitting around waiting to see exactly how a touch is going to play out before positioning your card to deal with it. And proactive gameplay is simply the opposite, taking into account how the player is approaching the ball and figuring out where the ball is most likely to go off of that approach and positioning your card there ahead of time to cut off whatever play your opponent intends to go for. The more you can be proactive in cutting off your opponent's plays, the more you will get control of the ball for your own team. To understand this idea a little bit better though, let's go ahead and hop into some examples of both reactive and proactive play and see how they differ. So as we said for our examples, we're going to be looking at two where we are extremely reactive to the play, and then we'll follow that up by looking at a good example of what it looks like when you are proactive and get ahead of where the ball is going. So for this first clip, we'll be starting off by coming off a kickoff here, so we're going ahead and actually missing the back boost, but we go back and grab it. Now obviously at this point we're up 4-1 with only 11 seconds left, so we're not really worried about losing the game, but it's going to be very important for us to understand where we get punished for being too reactive, regardless of what the scoreline is. So we're going to go ahead and push forward here. We see that Coco has a recovery right here. Now, at this precise moment, we could choose to charge up the wall, thinking that he might be taking the ball up in that direction. But because of the gap we are away, it is a little bit tough to get up there fast enough, especially since we have one teammate here and only one teammate back after that. So we don't want to be throwing ourselves out of the play, especially with this kind of scoreline. So we're going to be a bit patient here. As we see, we are beat. But now here's where it's going to be real important. So we turn off this initial touch. And this is fine, honestly. We're going to get toasted if we try to go for it anyway. So we turn off. But now right here is where we're going to see our reactive moment. So we have Coco here floating through the air. At this point, there is only one spot he can go with this ball that would be at all threatening to us, and it is a pass into the midfield. If he wants to air dribble this, like, over our heads towards our own corner, that's totally fine. We're not going to complain if he chooses to do that, because at that point, we can just bail out, allow our teammates to come in behind us, and it's not an issue at all. What we need to be worried about now is the dangerous touch to the midfield. So you would think, based on the positioning of Coco here, seeing him coming this direction off the wall, the only direction this ball can go is over to our right-hand side. And yet, for whatever reason, we are going to stay facing largely just backwards towards our own net for the longest time, until we actually see Coco go for the pass. And the problem with this is because we wait and react to the pass coming out and don't cover this angle beforehand, it means that we are slow getting across to get to the person who's receiving the pass. If we had instead committed towards the midfield earlier, obviously we're giving up like any play that goes directly over our head, but we're cutting off the dangerous spot on the field, which is exactly what we want to be doing in these situations. And we want to be proactive in getting to the spot where we can cut off the dangerous area of the field, rather than reacting to get there. Because we'll see what's going to happen here is we react to the touch coming out from Coco. Now we physically cannot get across in time. You can see we're trying to make up for it now with flips and just trying to get in front of the ball to the best of our ability. But because we didn't cut off the angle early enough, now Shiesty has himself a free touch, and it is just over our teammate's head and into the net. We certainly did not play that defensive situation all that well, simply giving up the angle for the pass because we didn't cut it down fast enough. So moving on to reactive example number 2, this play that we're about to watch here is one of the most abysmal displays of defense and chasing the ball around the field that you're likely ever to see. So if there's going to be any example that leads to a perfect synopsis of why you don't want to play reactionary Rocket League, it's going to be this. So we can see here that we are pretty deep into an overtime has been a very tough game. At this point, any loss is going to be pretty devastating. We also know that as an overtime drags on, things tend to get more nerve-wracking and players will often become more prone to making mistakes. And that's exactly what we're going to see here. So as we go ahead and roll this forward, we got Shiesty clearing the ball down the field. Our teammate Keys is going to jump up here, get a pretty decent challenge, honestly, and it's going to end up putting this ball back down to the ground. Now here's Reactionary Rocket League step number 1. So you can see here that we have this ball coming down to the ground, and we, instead of playing proactively and seeing that there might be an opponent coming onto this ball, we are simply going to ignore this, and we are going to react instead to just the fact that this ball is coming down. So rather than staying patient here and recognizing that another opponent touch is probably coming in, we're going to react to this initial touch and turn upfield. And now, oh gosh, now we're facing towards the play as Coco is just booming this ball right back in the direction we were already facing. So at this point, if we had just stayed facing backwards and had recognized that this touch was coming in, we could have just positioned for this incoming touch and have been able to control the ball off of it, rather than taking ourselves out of the play by turning upfield in a position like this, and now we're immediately caught out. So the ball now goes over our head, and now this is going to be where panic truly sets in. So we're trying to get visual confirmation of everything that's going on the field. We have our teammate rushing out here. He is going to get beat by Tristan. Now again, we're not going to have any idea that there might be anybody over to the left side of us. So instead, we're just going to react to what's happening here, and we're going to immediately try to charge this ball down. Except for the fact that, oh yeah, Shiesty's still behind us. So now he takes us out of the play. And now here's the worst culprit of them all. So Tristan is going to pop this ball up. Now at this point, we do have a teammate in front of us here. So we're not in the most dangerous situation because Coco also doesn't have a whole lot of ability to put the ball on net quickly. We have a decent amount of boost, so there's really no reason to panic in this situation. This is a great time to play proactively, look for where Coco is planning on playing the ball, angling ourselves there and going up and cutting off whatever play is happening as early as possible. If we instead decide to just react to this touch going up into the air without any regard to the fact that there's an opponent, you know, right here, or to that matter, a teammate right here either, if we just disregard these guys entirely, and choose to jump instead, to just react to this ball going into the air, that will result in us putting ourselves completely out of the play. But you know, we wouldn't be talking about this as a reactionary example if that's not exactly what we do. Because, yeah, forget this, forget the fact that we have a teammate there, forget the fact that we're beat to this ball by a mile. Let's just go ahead and jump for that, because, yeah, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Except now, oh yeah, we're completely out of the play, and it's just a fairly open net, because no one's able to get to the spot that the ball's actually going to cut it off. And that's really the big thing when it comes down to it. Taking a look at how your opponent's car is angled, figuring out where they can play the ball, and putting your car in the spot that they're going to play the ball so that you can cut the play off easily. If you instead find yourself chasing the play around the field, jumping and diving at things for absolutely no reason like we do here when you're clearly beat, all that means is that you're really just chasing the ball around the field and you're never setting yourself up for success. You're purely leaving the game in the hands of your opponents, and it's making life incredibly easy for them, as we see right here with Tristan just being able to put that one on home. To really cement this idea, let's take a look at what good proactive play looks like and see how easy it makes your life when you do things well. So right here, we're rotating back. We got a teammate in front of us here who's going to be challenging the ball. We're creeping towards the net here just in case he gets beat so that we can make a save, you know, off the backboard. This is a little bit reactionary right here because we just don't go for the ball quickly. The idea we have here is that we want to try to take control, but we also do have an opponent steaming on in here. So it would not be the worst idea to actually take this ball and like boom it over the top of this guy to get it into open space over here where we can follow it up. But instead, in this spot, we're going to just wait for the ball to come to us rather than be a little bit more proactive on it. Not really a reactionary play, more just too much patience, because there's nothing really to read as the ball is bouncing towards us, but it's going to result in us just getting immediately taken off the field. But what we want to see right here is as we respawn. So, as soon as we spawn, we see Shiesty taking the ball up into the air. We got one teammate here and another teammate back behind us, so we can be a little bit patient in how we move about the field on this spawn. But as soon as we see our teammate go up here, what we want to do is we want to go to the most likely spot that this ball is going to go. It would be really easy in this spot to make your life incredibly difficult by simply seeing teammate jump. I will replace him in net. Because by being down here, unless this ball just dies like right down here, you're going to be in a really rough spot to be able to make this save. So instead, we want to go to the most likely place that the ball is going to end up. Well, I don't know about you, but if you're ever in this position and you have an opponent jumping at you, the natural reaction is, hey, we are just going to tap this ball along up into the air towards the backboard. So knowing that information, that's exactly where we're going to look to go. So we, just go ahead, calmly drive up the backboard. Our teammate does have the angle to the net covered, but even from this spot, even if the opponent does do something a little less expected and like either drops it down or hits it somewhere else from the backboard, we pretty much have an angle to play almost every touch that can come out. Even if this is a drop down pass to a shot, we still have the entirety of the net covered by being on the backboard here, rather than just sitting like a rock in net waiting to see what happens. So here, we're being proactive, we're going to the most likely spot that the ball is going to end up, and because of that, and our teammate challenging well to block the angle to the net, we now have ourselves a completely free ball here on the backboard, and that gives us a very easy clear right back downfield, and completely disintegrates our opponent's offensive pressure, and honestly almost results in a goal just like that. But you can see, just understanding where your opponents are most likely to play the ball, and putting your car in that spot before the ball gets there, gives you a massive advantage in the game, and generally makes your life incredibly easy. So I do hope that gives you guys a pretty good idea on how to play proactive in Rocket League. Obviously, this is all heavily reliant on your ability to read where your opponents are playing the ball. So make sure that you spend a lot of time practicing actually looking at the other cars on the field, really taking into account how they're approaching the ball, so you can utilize that information to determine where the ball is most likely to go. Of course, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you who made it to this point in the video, and I do hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you did, make sure you click that subscribe button right down below, so you make sure you don't miss any future Rocket League content. Additionally, if you'd like to be a bit more involved in the community we're building here, feel free to join my Discord, which I'll have linked down in the description. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys.
Thank you.